Discussion is great, but not right now.
Thanks, Julie. Good morning, everyone. Just maybe a couple of quick introductions before we start. For those who don't know me, I'm Amy Usher. I'm the Research Country Culture Services Manager at YMAC, which is a bit of a mouthful. I have Luke with us, who's one of our senior anthropologists. We have Nadisha and Johan, who are some of our anthropologists as well. We're going to do a little bit of a kind of panel discussion session here about unclaimed areas. So you can see that, that idea of why haven't we lodged a claim yet? Speaking for Country and Culture Authority in unclaimed areas. A nice little snapshot of, what was his name? Scruffy. So just obviously a quick acknowledgement of country as well, and I'd just like to pay my respects to Whadjuk Noongar elders past, present and emerging. So I guess a little bit of background, what are the unclaimed areas? What are we talking about when we talk about those? They're a combination of areas that have never been claimed, or they've had claims over them but they've been struck out or dismissed. They sit between areas of other determined claims, PBCs, all claims are on foot as well. And we have about 30 unclaimed areas in YMAC's combined regions, which sounds like a lot, but some of them are really tiny, and there's possibly some kind of mapping boundary issues, and you can see there's a map of the Pilbara region there. The black diagonal shapes there you can see are unclaimed areas, so there's some big ones and there's some really tiny little ones as well. The Yamatji region as well, you can see, again, a couple of really tiny ones and then a nice big one down the bottom here. And I think just to kind of contextualise some of these areas as well, is that, some of the determinations surrounding these areas have been around for a really long time, like 10 plus years, and then some of them are newer. We've also done a lot of the research for some of those areas surrounding those unclaimed areas, and then there's also areas where it's not quite as clear or easy. So particularly this bit in the southeastern corner of the map here, it's kind of on the periphery of our Ret Body region, and there's not a lot of research that actually has been done in that area, so that's going to be a fun one when we get to that. So why is it important to address them? Just because they've been unclaimed, it doesn't mean that they're not important. A lot of the time they hold a lot of significance, and it's just that there have been issues around progressing those claims because there's been a focus on some of the other claims on foot. As a Ret Body, under the Native Title Act, we have a responsibility to ensure that all those who may have native title are identified and that recognition can occur and country is protected. So it's obviously part of our function as a Ret Body. But we've also sort of had a landslide of determinations through 2017 to 2019. And then since then, we've had people approaching us who, really want us to focus on those areas that have been left over, so to speak. So we've started focusing on them from about 2020. With specific attention on fieldwork from about 2022 after all of the COVID stuff happened, and there's been a huge amount of work done in this area, and the three people sitting up here with me have done a huge amount of work to progress these areas. So why are they unclaimed? There's a number of reasons, but often they were omitted from original native title claims because they were in dispute from neighbouring Aboriginal communities, or they were too difficult to progress at the time. So you had claims on foot that were already, through that court process, and there was a focus on those, and so some of these areas kind of got left out. And it's like, oh yeah, we'll deal with those later. And of course, later has now arrived. So a lot of these areas are really culturally complex or politically fraught, like a lot of other native title claims. However, in our experience, these unclaimed areas have more issues than those earlier determinations due to the passage of time and also various other factors that we're dealing with now. So some of those include native title jurisprudence, political clout and influencing of the surrounding PBCs, disputed boundaries of country, the attenuation of cultural knowledge and loss of elders, which is a really big thing. There's so many old people that are passed into country, and the idea of caretakership, and inability to access country as well. Some of the areas in our regions are really, really difficult to get to. So the idea of kind of right people for country in a post-determination world, and that's one of the things that we have been focusing on, is right people for country and speaking to those traditional owners. But there's kind of three main themes, I guess, that we're sort of looking at, and Luke and Nadisha and Johan will kind of talk a little bit about their experience with these shortly. But the idea of natal title hangovers, so, you know, the things that happen in that natal title space, and now we're dealing with that in, you know, it's a claim space, but it's also a post-determination space as well. Peripheral country and converging native title interests, and increasing demands to engage in diplomatic relations with PDCs and other corporations of pastoralists as well. So there's a real kind of tension that we found between, you know, working with people on the ground and traditional owners who have knowledge of country, but those surrounding PDCs and the pressure that is, and the, I guess, the willingness or the desire for those PDCs to get involved in that business. So that's another nice picture. Native title hangovers, I'm going to hand over to Luke to talk a little bit about this.